He just wanted somebody to love. Hello, space travelers, and welcome back to 3 Piece 1 Pod. Today we're covering one of the best Pixar movies of all time, WALL-E. Every time I watch this movie, I cry, but in a good way, so if you haven't seen it yet, don't be turned away by this fact, because you will cry too. If you want to support us, check out our Ko-Fi, and if you have any suggestions for future videos, check out the Google form. Both are linked in the description, or you can access them through this QR code here. There's some very cute fan art and analysis. Keep watching. Now into the video.
I think I like this little WALL-E, this little Eve.
We're first going to begin by giving you a little intro/recap in case you have never seen the movie or you haven't seen it in a while. This is a film released in 2008. Well, all three of us grew up on it. Yeah, when we were in preschool, the kids in our class, his birthday, gave everyone a CD that had like whatever his favorite songs were, and one of them was the end song to this movie, so I always remember that one.
Core memory.
Does anyone else have a CD player in their car? I actually don't know if that's...
Wow, does anyone else have a CD?
Does anybody not?
I know so many people who have CD.
Probably I was gonna say, I thought every car had one except for like maybe a Tesla.
Did you see that Teslas
you shift on a screen now?
When am I gonna be able to drive my car with my microchip?
So apparently it's set in the 29th century. I'm sure it says this in the beginning of the movie and I just forgot. But basically about a trash compacting robot named WALL-E who lives on Earth, but Earth is completely covered in trash and it's polluted and no humans live on it anymore because it is uninhabitable. But there is a roach on there and it's WALL-E's friend, and I love the roach. Like, of course there's a roach still. So all of the humans don't live on Earth anymore, but they're in a huge spaceship called the Axiom. All of the humans are big, mobile, and exist on little floating hover seats that always are big iPad babies. Yeah, big iPad babies. And they all wear like onesies. Basically, it follows WALL-E, robot sent from the spaceship named Eve, who comes to collect plant life. Just comes to check in to make if they can turn around. And she does find one. WALL-E actually had it in his garage, his tchotchke wall. Eve like shuts down. WALL-E's sad because it was like the first companion he's ever had, and then waits for her to wake up. Like, it's actually really cute and sad. But eventually she gets picked back up by the spaceship. WALL-E ensues on an adventure. He follows her, tries finding her. It's this whole thing, basically the entire movie.
So he's a simp!
So with the help of Eve and the other robots, WALL-E is able to convince the autopilot and the actual pilot of the ship to turn around and go back to Earth and have a fruitful life there.
WALL-E rizzed.
He
does canonically have Riz.
And then at the end of the movie, WALL-E and Eve are under a huge tree because they planted the sapling, and everyone lives happily ever after, and it's very sweet and happy and amazing. And why didn't we listen to this movie? Genuinely one of my favorite movies ever. So let's see your drawing. So I found this website that has pretty much the entire movie screen cap. So I just found one where they're both in it because I liked the lighting and then also this moment. And I basically just redrew it, and I had a lot of fun with this brush. It's a Procreate brush. Like, it already exists in there. I think it's called Inca or something. And I thought it gave like a really cool texture, especially on WALL-E. Like, Eve, it's kind of like, okay, she's sleek, but she's also extremely scratchy and scribbly from this brush that I was using. But I was just really playing with texture. The WALL-E looks so cute. Look at his eyes. WALL-E is so sweetly, like, and you know what, that was their intention. That's why they designed him. Okay, I also did a second drawing because the first one was so short. And you're probably wondering, okay, what is this? Well, I wanted to make WALL-E and Eve as Cornelius and Irene from Hello Dolly. Little wig is so cute, and that little piece on her head is actually unbearable. Gave him a little wig. Yeah, the piece. I was like, she obviously has the hairstyle too, but I was just thinking, like, I could have given her a wig, but then I was like, at that point I would have given her like the whole dress and stuff, so I was like, I'm just gonna give her the piece.
I like the piece.
Also, because I feel like it's funny that like WALL-E of course would be wearing a wig and Eve wouldn't. Like, I just think that's funny.
That's very, very true.
He was in his tchotchke wall. These trinkets.
Tchotchke wall.
Tchotchke is like your new word of the day. Now on to the most exhilarating part. My part.
This is the part I always.
This is the part you fall asleep and skip. Yeah. So I thought it'd be interesting to talk about the production of this movie, especially because it kind of intertwines on why I think this movie is so special. Go ahead and say my source is from the WALL-E Wikipedia because there was actually so much information on there. Okay, so the director of this movie was Andrew Stanton, and he believed that after finding Finding Nemo, Pixar had achieved believable water physics. He thought, okay, let's make a movie in space, because now we've done the water thing.
Yeah, it's like basically
now
the
let's
same thing.
do space.
Wow,
that was kind of like the main inspiration for the start of the movie and the making of it. So Stanton was really drawn to the idea of the garbage-filled planet because he really liked the imagery.
Because that's low-key what our planet looks like right now.
Yeah, low-key when you look outside.
Going.
Because he liked the imagery of the stacked cubes of garbage. I think that's just really interesting, especially because they kind of, to me,
look
mimic
like
buildings. But a little fun fact is that, obviously, before we mentioned the humans become big and immobile. When you go to space and you don't exercise, you lose muscle and bone density and all that. So over time, you would fully just
be a blob,
deform. So originally, he was really playing up this idea, and the team developed this thing called gels. And they were basically, the humans would take that like shape that they become in the movie, but instead of having the human features, they would just become green and gelatinous, and then they would like lose their features. So I'll throw up some concept art. You can see how they're already losing like their noses, and I also thought there were some really cool variations of the gels, because originally there was like,
it's kind of Monsters Inc.
Yeah, there was going to be this whole, they were evil and they would come to Earth, and then there was like a royal family, so there's like a king and a queen, so it was like really crazy.
I'm kind of glad they didn't go that way.
Yeah,
the same were like fantastic.
Yeah, although it is really cool to see all the concept art. Another thing that made this movie more like daunting for Pixar was the fact that it took 125,000 storyboards versus the standard 75,000 storyboards that Pixar had used before, and which means it needed more time. If you watch the movie, you can notice lighting. The production designer Ralph Eggleston, I don't know if I pronounced that right, he was really focused on the lighting and wanted it to like affect the mood, especially how the different settings and everything. He wanted the first act of the movie, which is where it takes place on Earth, he wanted it to be more romantic, especially once Eve is introduced into the movies. And then in the second act of the movie, in the spaceship, it's more cold and sterile looking, so everything is very bright and blue and saturated. Something else about this movie that I thought was cool was that when they were making the movie, they wanted it to replicate science fiction films. Pixar movies before didn't have that like 70mm film look, so that means that it lacked natural things that a camera can do versus a computer, having things like barrel distortion, lens flare, and racking focus. Because Wall-E wanted to recreate the look of the science fiction films, they actually practiced and taught like the animators how to replicate this by having a little Wall-E figure model, and then they filmed it with an actual 70mm film.
Oh my gosh.
So they could see like how the effects look. Something I love with, I'm sure most studios do this, if not really anyone's gonna do research for a movie, but I've always noticed how much Disney like really takes over on bringing in references or like scouting out places. Like they send people
like
places.
Bambi, that you can see
they brought in real animals. Like of course they don't do that now, but for this movie, because it focuses on machinery and stuff, they actually visited like recycling centers and places where they had robotics and machinery and just studied those. So they wanted to make Wall-E have more personality, but still be a character that the audience could project their own personalities onto, or kept that into consideration, which is why his eyes have that kind of, he's very cutesy, and his eyes have that zoom in function. Also wanted to give some props to the sound, because I think it's really interesting. Ben Burt was the sound designer. He described the robot language as like a toddler, so he thought it should be more like a universal language or intonation. The sounds were derived from actual technology, so like the Macintosh startup.
I love that.
And Eve's voice is a digitally modified version of her voice actor's voice. And then Hello Dolly songs, Pony Sunny Clothes, was used because Stanton found the song was about two naive young men looking for love, which is similar to how Wall-E's journeying, hoping for companionship the whole movie.
That's why it's so sweet and
that's why it's literally sweet.
Gut-wrenching.
Showing Wall-E, watch, it only takes a moment, is really important because it conveys that he can understand the concept of love and companionship. Really liked learning about the production on this movie. Okay, so for my drawing, I wanted to make it more like a study, so I looked through a bunch of screenshots and stuff, and I really liked this one because it was like the wide open landscape, and there was a lot of colors, and it was just really pretty, and I liked how Eve and Wall-E just sitting on the bench. I just love the scene. It's very cute. I love it.
Yeah, I think you did a really good job rendering it out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You killed that.
Yeah, you killed
that. She did that.
I love when Eve goes into the little egg. It's like
I know, because her egg shape is
It's
actually so cute
funny.
and sweet, and it's like
cute.
wow. Except it's sad when she gets flown away, but then when she's in the ship with all of the other Eves,
Yeah,
it's
she's
like
just
wow.
there
So she's
reaching.
just literally so many eggs in a carton. Watch the tears go by. It's definitely lyrics. Yes, it's exactly the lyrics.
Third for last, best for last, that's what they always say. Discussing some final themes, some themes and final thoughts. I kind of just, like, broke it down into what I thought the 5 main themes of WALL-E were. Because obviously the movie is very, like, talking about, like, environmentalism and sustainability because of the whole beginning. Literally, that's, like, the plot. Yeah. I mean, it's not the plot, but, like, that's the setting, I guess.
Yeah,
because
definitely focus on the impact of
like overconsumption, neglect for the environment, and it's kind of also is like a warning, I'm sure, because of the direction we're going as a society. The economic, and we're literally living on a floating rock.
This was in 2008,
and you know what always stuck with me is the first time you see Earth from the outside perspective, and it's all brown.
Yeah, because of all the satellites and trash
and nasty. Did we ever listen? No. No. Showing it through the lens of WALL-E, who is just unable to clean, and like their project failed. But then, you know, we come back around in the end, and it's like, okay, actually we can reverse this, and maybe there's hope. And also, like, that goes hand in hand with like consumerism and like materialism, because
can't get that way.
The humans, yes. So like,
and even in their ship,
yes,
they're acting
axiom,
that way.
With like the consume, like add the shake
drinks,
in a cup.
Yeah,
the 4 meals in one cup.
Yeah, it becomes like
yeah.
And they can change their outfit to blue with the touch of a button or something.
Which literally
like
Tesla crazy driving. When is that gonna happen?
Joy in their life, like they can't even.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Yeah,
like they've gone so far that
they drink it. Yeah,
and they just watch
fries and shake.
All the recreation is never even used because they don't want to. And then also, obviously, the section of like WALL-E being alone, which I always thought was really interesting, like watching it when I was older versus when I was younger. Like I noticed a lot more the fact that there used to be a bunch of WALL-Es, and he's the only one left, and how tragic is that? And why is he the only one left? And like they all died or something?
Yeah.
Like,
also because like he still like does his job, but he's obviously a little different. All the robots have personality, but he's more drawn to things, and
they humanize him so well, even though he doesn't speak. You feel for him and you love him. And then like obviously like technological dependence, all the humans rely so much on technology, which I think is interesting in the fact that literally if we lost our technology today, the society would collapse.
Yeah, like actually,
entirely.
And
what
and
would
so
every single person would be
on this entire planet? There would be it would chaos, mayhem, purge. Because there would be no way to connect the world again.
The purge.
And
and then like finally hope and rule, because they actually come back and they serve.
Doesn't even something about pizza. It's not even planet. Something about pizza. I remember making that up.
The Pizza Planet truck?
No. There's something about pizza at the end because
the Pixar
it's
verse.
like the captain talking to the kids or something. I could be so wrong.
Ultimately, like delivering the message of it's always possible to like come back. It's never too late.
Because the thing is,
you can have a little bit of whimsy,
exactly.
A little bit of hope.
Also, well, the thing
joy,
is,
love,
if
laughter.
we don't have that, then the Earth cannot get better, and the Earth can come back and be normal and happy again if we try. And the only way to try is that
don't get out of plastic straws anymore.
Oh,
the turtles. Image on the right is kind of one of my favorite scenes. Is when he's carrying the umbrella around and it's raining and she's like in her egg form.
Egg. She's a little egg.
And
she's very cute because she's an egg.
Because she's smooth and she's an egg. And I kept the green behind the one on the bottom right or bottom left because I was like, oh, like they've returned to green. They're back on. This is like when they're back on Earth and they're just happy.
Under the Bugs Life tree.
Yeah.
Pixar theory. For you guys. If you guys haven't watched it, hop on over to Disney Plus.
Not a soul who's watched this far in this video has not seen WALL-E, I guarantee.
If you haven't, then thanks for the view, but also
then
please go watch that movie.
Because I don't believe you exist.